Hi folks, as you know, I'm pretty certain that the next full-frame E-mount camera that will be announced by Sony will be the A9III, and today I want to talk about the speculation that is going around this new stock sensor that the A9III will definitely use. And before that, please take 2 seconds time to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button to not miss any of my upcoming videos. A couple of months ago, a trusted source told me that the A9III will be announced within November of this year and January of 2024, and I have no doubt that he's spot on. He was always right on the time frame of new camera launches. And we also got an indirect confirmation via Sony China, because Sony China registered a new camera model in China in the beginning of September. Usually it takes 2.5 up to 4 months until a camera gets announced, and this camera seems to be a high-end camera, so another kind of hint that indeed a new high-end model is coming, and this is likely going to be the A9III. There's also another source that gave me evidence for the existence of the A9III. He actually saw the camera, but he doesn't want me to share details because he doesn't want to get scooped by Sony. All I can tell you is that Sony is spending a lot of advertisement money for the A9III, much more than they spent on the A7CR, A7C2. So for them, this is really a serious new model. So another kind of indirect evidence that this is going to be a very kind of new camera. So indeed, it will have a new stock sensor that's also confirmed via trusted sources. I have little information I can share about the A9III now, and I'm using that little information I know to try to get some more information. But in the meantime, what I can tell you today is that Sony officially registered a new 44 megapixel full frame sensor in their database, and some of you readers think that this 44 megapixel sensor is the one that will be used on the A9III, and today I want to discuss that. First of all, let's check out that new sensor. It's called EMX366, and it's a 44 megapixel quad sensor. It's a very fast sensor with fast readout. If you want to dig into the details of that sensor, I will link to the spec sheet of this sensor in the YouTube description. It shoots 8K 60p in 12-bit with no crop, 8K 30p with 14-bit and no crop. It also can shoot 4K 120p in 12-bit with no crop, and 4K 60p 14-bit in no crop. So from a video point of view, this is quite an excellent camera, and like I said, it has a very fast readout. The frame rate is around 26 FPS, so this indeed is a promising sensor that might be used on the A9III. The reason why I'm a bit skeptical is that the current A9II has a 24 megapixel sensor, so a bump to 44 would quite be a big one, and it would put it very close to the A1, which doesn't make sense to me unless Sony plans to announce a new A1II soon after with some kind of 60-70 megapixel sensor, just to increase the gap with the A9III if it indeed has the 44 megapixel sensor. All I can tell you is that Sony made a survey with a sports photographer asking what they would love to see with the A9III, and one of the requests was indeed that the A9III should have an increase in resolution. So I expect the A9III to have a new stock sensor that has more than 24 megapixel. My guess is that it's likely to have 28 or 32 megapixel. That would make a lot of sense, but so I'm not really sure about that new 44 megapixel sensor being the one used on the A9III. Also because if Sony publishes the spec sheet of this kind of sensor, it means that sensor is also available to third-party manufacturers, so it wouldn't be an exclusive sensor for Sony, and I think the A9III is very likely to use a very exclusive new stock sensor that won't be available for example, Nikon and other manufacturers. So as soon as I have double, triple confirmation on the other specs, in the meantime, working on about the A9III, I will make a new video. So please, again, first like this video to help me in the YouTube algorithm, subscribe if you don't want to miss any of my upcoming videos, and I see you soon, folks.